My ex showed up at my door to talk after 3 years. I said, sure, come in. Then I introduced him to my fiancée, who was wearing the ring he could never afford. His face, when he realized I'd moved on, was original post. I, 29 female, have been engaged for 6 months to the most wonderful man I've ever known. We bought a house together last year. Nothing crazy, just a nice 3-bedroom colonial in a decent neighborhood. I have a career I love as a veterinary technician. Life is genuinely good. So when my ex-boyfriend of 3 years showed up on my doorstep last Saturday morning, I wasn't expecting him. Hadn't seen him since we broke up. Hadn't thought about him much either, honestly. The relationship ended badly, but time does what time does. Dulls the edges, fades the colors. He became just another chapter in my 20s that I closed and moved on from. Quick backstory for context. We dated for almost 4 years, from when I was 21 to 25. He was charming at first. Funny, spontaneous, always had big plans. The problem was those plans never materialized into anything real. He was a dreamer, which sounds romantic until you realize dreams don't pay rent. In 4 years together, he went through 6 different career ideas: music producer, day trader, real estate flipper, cryptocurrency expert, life coach, and finally entrepreneur, which meant he sat on our couch researching business ideas he never started. Meanwhile, I worked full-time, paid most of our bills, and listened to him explain why his latest scheme was definitely going to work this time. When I finally ended things, he called me unsupportive and materialistic. Said I didn't believe in him. Said I was holding him back from his potential. The breakup was ugly. He showed up drunk in my apartment twice, sent long, rambling texts for weeks, and told anyone who would listen that I was the villain who abandoned him when he was on the verge of making it. After about 3 months of that, he finally stopped. Moved away, I heard. I blocked him everywhere and got on with my life. That was 3 years ago. So Saturday morning, I'm in my kitchen making coffee, still in my pajamas, when the doorbell rings. My fiancé is upstairs in the shower. I figure it's a delivery or maybe the neighbor's kid selling something for school. I open the door, and there he is. My ex, standing on my porch with this sheepish smile like he just happened to be in the neighborhood. Hey, he said, I know this is weird, but I was hoping we could talk. I should have closed the door. Should have told him to leave. But honestly, I was so blindsided I just stood there processing for a second. He looked different, older, thinner, wearing clothes that had seen better days. Not the confident entrepreneur I remembered. How did you find my address? Your mom's Facebook. She posted pictures of her new house last year. I recognized the neighborhood from the background. Great. Thanks, Mom. What do you want to talk about? Us. Everything. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I realized I made mistakes. Big ones. I was hoping maybe we could. He trailed off, looking past me into the house. Can I come in? Just for a few minutes. Here's the thing. I could have said no. Probably should have. But something about the situation felt almost surreal. This man who'd made my life miserable for months after our breakup, who called me every name in the book, was now standing on the porch of the house I owned, asking to come inside. Sure, I said. Come in. I led him to the living room. He looked around at the nice furniture, the fresh paint, the photos on the walls. I saw him clock the engagement photos on the mantle. His expression flickered. You're engaged? Yeah, 6 months now. To who? Right on cue. My fiancée came down the stairs. Hair still wet from the shower, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, looking confused about why there was a stranger in our living room. Everything okay? He asked. Yeah, babe. This is my ex. He wanted to talk. I watched my ex's face as he processed this. My fiancé is not a model or anything. He's just a regular guy. But he's got this presence about him. Confident. Stable. The kind of man who has his life together and doesn't need to tell everyone about it. My fiancé walked over and extended his hand. Nice to meet you. My ex shook it, clearly uncomfortable. Yeah, you too. Then my ex's eyes dropped to my left hand. To the ring. The 1.8-carat oval diamond on a platinum band that my fiancé saved for 18 months to buy. The ring my ex used to say was materialistic to want, back when he couldn't afford dinner out, let alone jewelry. The look on his face was something I'll never forget. Like someone had punched him in the stomach, and he was trying to pretend it didn't hurt. That's a nice ring, he managed. Thanks, I said. My fiancé has excellent taste. There was this awful silence. My fiancé looked between us, clearly sensing something was off but too polite to call it out. So, my ex finally said, I guess you really did move on. It's been 3 years. What did you expect? I don't know. I thought maybe. He stopped, took a breath. I've been going through some stuff. Lost my job. Had to move back in with my parents. I started thinking about where things went wrong, and I kept coming back to you. To us. I thought maybe we could reconnect. As what? Friends. I was hoping maybe more than that. I know I messed up, but people change. I almost laughed. Almost. Here he was, standing in my living room, in front of my fiancé, suggesting we get back together. I'm engaged, I said, stating the obvious. Engagements can be broken. My fiancé stepped forward slightly. Not threatening, just present. I think maybe you should go. My ex looked at him, then at me. Just think about it. That's all I'm asking. We had 4 years together. That doesn't just disappear. It did for me, I said. 3 years ago. When you called me a selfish witch for not funding your pyramid scheme. When you showed up drunk at my door at 2 a.m. screaming about how I ruined your life. That's when it disappeared. He flinched like I'd slapped him. I was in a bad place. You were always in a bad place. That was the problem. He left after that. Didn't say goodbye, just walked out. My fiancé closed the door behind him and looked at me with this expression of complete bewilderment. What the hell was that? That, I said, was closure I didn't know I needed. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Update 1, day 5. So my ex didn't take the hint. Shocking, I know. Day 2 after the doorstep visit, I got a text from an unknown number. Somehow he'd gotten my new phone number, probably from the same Facebook stalking that got him my address. The message was long, like really long. 8 paragraphs about how seeing me happy with someone else had made him realize what he lost. How he'd changed. How he was in therapy now. How he just needed one more chance. The best part? He spent 3 paragraphs explaining why my fiancé wasn't right for me. Said he could tell just from meeting him that he was boring and predictable. Said I used to value passion and spontaneity, and now I was settling for stability. Like stability is a bad thing. Like paying your bills on time is somehow less romantic than bouncing checks. I didn't respond. Blocked the number. Day 3, he found my work email. Sent another long message. This one was more passive-aggressive. Said he couldn't believe I'd flaunt my engagement in his face. That I'd been cruel to let him into my house just to humiliate him. That I clearly still had unresolved feelings about our relationship if I was willing to let him in at all. He also included a detailed critique of my lifestyle choices, said owning a home in my 20s was contributing to capitalist systems, and that my ring was a symbol of patriarchal ownership. This from a man who spent our entire relationship trying to get rich quick through various schemes. The hypocrisy was genuinely impressive. I forwarded the email to my personal folder and blocked that address too. Started documenting everything, just in case. Day 4. Things escalated. He created a new Instagram account and started following everyone I know, my sister, my best friend, my coworkers. Didn't message any of them directly, just lurked. My sister texted me asking if I knew some random guy was viewing all her stories. When she clicked on his profile, it was obviously him. No posts, no bio, just his face as the profile picture. That night, I got a DM from his new account. You can't ignore me forever. We need to talk in person. Without him there, I screenshotted everything. Then I made my accounts private and blocked him again. Day 5, today, he showed up at my workplace. I work in an animal hospital. He walked in during my lunch break, told the receptionist he was there to pick up his dog, and waited in the lobby until I came out of the back room. When I saw him sitting there, I actually felt my heart rate spike. Not from attraction, from anxiety. What are you doing here? You weren't answering my messages. Because I don't want to talk to you. That's usually what blocking someone means. I just need 5 minutes. Please, just hear me out without your fiancé looming over us. He wasn't looming. He lives there. It's his house too. It should have been our house. You know that, right? If you'd just given me more time, I would have figured it out. I was so close to launching my business when you left. You gave up on us, right before everything was about to change. You've been about to change for 4 years. That's not fair. Success takes time. Not everyone follows the boring corporate ladder like your new guy probably does. He's an HVAC technician. He builds things with his hands. He comes home tired because he actually works. And that's what you want? Some blue-collar guy who comes home smelling like sweat? That's your dream. I stared at him. Really stared. This was the man I'd spent 4 years with. For years of making excuses for him, believing his promises, waiting for him to become someone he was never going to be. And here he was, standing in my workplace, insulting the man who actually showed up for me. Yeah, I said, that's exactly what I want. Someone who works hard and doesn't expect the world to hand him success. A couple of clients in the waiting room were openly staring now. My manager came out from the back, looking concerned. Is everything okay out here? This man needs to leave, I said. He's not a client. My ex looked genuinely hurt. I'm just trying to talk to you. You're acting like I'm some kind of criminal. You're my workplace. Uninvited. After I blocked you multiple times. What would you call it? My manager, bless her, stepped in. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a place of business. He left, but not before saying, loud enough for everyone to hear, you're going to regret this. You're going to realize what you threw away. After he was gone, my manager pulled me aside and asked if I needed to file an incident report. I said yes. She also suggested I consider talking to the police if this continues. I nodded, but honestly felt stupid, like I was overreacting. He's annoying, not dangerous, right? My fiancé was less philosophical about it. When I told him what happened, he wanted to confront my ex directly. I talked him down. The last thing we need is some kind of physical altercation that turns this into a bigger mess. But I did do one thing. I started looking into restraining order requirements in my state, just in case. Update 2, day 12. Final update, because this situation finally reached its conclusion. And honestly, it's more pathetic than satisfying. Day 7, my ex called my mom. My MOM told her he was concerned about my well-being because I was isolating myself and refusing to communicate. Said he was worried my fiancé was controlling me. Asked my mom to intervene. He also apparently told her that I'd changed since we broke up and that the old me would never have been so cold. Said I used to be warm and caring, and now I was materialistic and status-obsessed. My mother, who remembers exactly how warm and caring I was while paying his phone bill and making excuses for why he couldn't come to family dinners, wasn't impressed. My mother, who watched me cry for months after that breakup, who helped me change my locks when he wouldn't stop showing up, who listened to me catalog every broken promise and every gaslighting comment. My mother told him to lose her number and never contact our family again. Then she called me to warn me. He sounded unstable, she said. Not like angry unstable, more like desperate. Like someone who's running out of options and grasping at anything. He's been like this since I opened the door, I told her. I shouldn't have let him in. Don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. He's the one who can't accept that you've moved on. Day 8. He sent a letter. An actual physical letter mailed to my house. Handwritten, for pages about how he'd been reflecting, and he finally understood why our relationship failed. It was because I didn't trust his vision. He wasn't mad at me for that anymore. He forgave me, and now he was ready to build something real together if I could just forgive him for his temporary failures. He signed it, Always Yours, and included his new phone number in case I wanted to reach out. I didn't reach out, but I did add the letter to my documentation folder. Day 9, radio silence. I started to hope he'd finally gotten the message. Day 10, I discovered why he'd gone quiet. My fiancé's co-worker, who happens to be married to a woman who went to high school with my ex, mentioned at their office that my ex had been posting on Facebook about his situation. Apparently, he'd written this long public post about how he'd reconnected with the one who got away, but she was being manipulated by her current partner who was threatened by their history. The post included some gems like, some women don't know what real love looks like because they've been conditioned to value security over passion, and it's sad watching someone you love choose comfort over connection. He was basically using our situation as content for his pity party. The post had gotten some sympathetic comments from people who didn't know the full story. A few of his relatives were saying things like, she doesn't know what she's missing and her loss, and you deserve someone who appreciates you. One of his friends commented something about how loyal men like you always finish last. The whole thing was nauseating. My fiancé told me about it that night. I was furious, not at the post itself, but at the idea that he was out there crafting this narrative where I was some kind of victim being controlled, rather than a grown woman who simply didn't want him. Where he was the tragic, romantic hero instead of the unemployed ex who couldn't take no for an answer. I did something I probably shouldn't have. I created a temporary Facebook account, found his post, and commented. Just once. Just the facts. For anyone reading this, I am the one who got away. I ended our relationship 3 years ago because he refused to get a job, spent 4 years living off my income, and called me every name in the book when I finally left. He showed up at my house uninvited, then in my workplace after I blocked him multiple times. This is not a love story. This is harassment. Please stop encouraging him. Then I deleted the account and blocked him everywhere again. Day 11. The fallout from my comment was apparently significant. According to the same coworker grapevine, several people who'd been supportive suddenly weren't. His own cousin commented asking if this was true. Another friend deleted their supportive comment entirely. Someone who apparently knew both of us replied with, "Wait, is this the same guy who used to borrow money from everyone and never paid it back?" The whole thing unraveled publicly within hours. He deleted the entire post. Then he deleted his Facebook entirely. But he also sent me one final email to yet another email address I didn't know he had. This one was different. Angrier. Much angrier. Said I'd publicly humiliated him and destroyed his reputation. Said everyone was asking questions now, and people were reaching out to verify my claims. Said his parents were disappointed and had confronted him about the timeline of events. Said his friends were avoiding him or asking uncomfortable questions. Said I was vindictive and cruel and petty, and this was proof that I'd never really loved him at all. Said he'd been vulnerable about his feelings publicly, and I'd weaponized that vulnerability against him. The email ended with, "I hope your perfect fiancé and your perfect ring and your perfect house make you happy. Because you clearly care more about status and appearances than actual human connection. We could have had something real, something meaningful and passionate. Now you'll never know what you threw away. Enjoy your boring, predictable life." I read it once. Then I forwarded it to my documentation folder. Day 12, today, I got a call from a police officer. Apparently, my ex's mother had called them claiming I was cyberbullying her son and she wanted to file a complaint. The officer listened to my side, the uninvited visits, the workplace appearance, the multiple contact attempts after being blocked, the letters, the social media stalking. I sent him my documentation folder. He called back an hour later. Said there wasn't enough for criminal charges, but he'd had a conversation with my ex about appropriate boundaries. He also said that if my ex contacted me again, I should call immediately and they'd pursue a harassment case. 30 minutes after that call, I got one final text from my ex. I don't know how he got this number, probably yet another workaround. The text said, "I get it. You win. I won't contact you again, but I want you to know that I'm not the villain you're making me out to be. I just loved you and didn't know how to let go. Someday you'll understand that." I didn't respond. Just screenshotted it, saved it to the folder, and blocked the number. It's been 9 days since that last text. Nothing from him since. I like to say I feel victorious, but honestly, I mostly just feel tired and a little sad, if I'm being honest with myself. Not sad about losing him. That ship sailed years ago. Sad about what this whole situation revealed. He really believed he could show up after 3 years, and I just dumped my fiancé, throw away the life I built, because he finally decided he was ready. That's the part that gets me. The sheer entitlement of assuming I'd been waiting. That my life since him was just filler until he came back. My fiancé has been incredible through all of this. Patient, supportive, protective without being overbearing. The night after the police call, he made me dinner and we talked about everything. Not just the ex situation, but our future. The wedding we're planning for next fall. The life we're building together. He held my hand and said, "I'm glad he showed up. Now I know exactly what I saved you from." I laughed and cried at the same time. That's love. Real love. Not whatever delusional fantasy my ex was clinging to. The documentation folder is saved in 3 places now: my computer, my email, and a USB drive in our home safe. Just in case. My manager at work knows the situation and has my ex's photo at the front desk with instructions to call police immediately if he shows up again. I don't think he will. The officer said my ex seemed genuinely surprised that his behavior could be classified as harassment. Like he really believed he was the romantic hero of this story, not the creepy ex who couldn't take no for an answer. Some people never see themselves clearly. That's not my problem anymore. My sister asked me if I was glad he showed up. If there was any part of me that enjoyed watching him see what I have now, the house, the fiancé, the ring. Honestly, a little. Not in a petty way, but in a proof-of-concept way. 3 years ago, he told me I was too demanding, too materialistic, that I'd never find someone who met my unrealistic standards. And now here I am, with someone who not only meets those standards, but exceeds them. Someone who saves for 18 months to buy me a ring because he wants to, not because I demanded it. Someone who shows up every day, does the work, builds a life. My ex couldn't afford dinner out. My fiancé bought us a house. That's not about money. That's about effort, about priorities, about choosing to build something real instead of dreaming about it forever. So yeah, my ex showed up at my door after 3 years wanting to talk. And what he found was everything he could have had if he'd been a different person. The house, the ring, the partner, the life. I didn't plan it as revenge. It wasn't a scheme. I just lived my life, moved on, and when he finally reappeared, the contrast spoke for itself. Some lessons you learn by listening. Others you learn by seeing what you lost standing right in front of you. I hope, for his sake, he finally learned something. But that's not my responsibility anymore. Thanks for reading, everyone. Hug your partners. Live your lives. And never let anyone tell you that expecting basic effort is too demanding. You deserve someone who shows up in every way that matters.